works. So anyway, let's get into some Packers content. We wasted enough time. Matthew Golden obviously signed his rookie contract today, and I can understand some people would think this is no news, but I think it's important to kind of cover the details, Jacob, and see how the contract's structured. And then we took it a step further and talk about some of the pass catchers and how cheap that room is. There in Green Bay. So obviously Matthew Golden finalizing his rookie deal. The Green Bay Packers obviously getting the rookie contract done there. Let's take a look at the details. So Matthew Golden contract details, and we'll break down the cap ramifications and all that as well. 4 years, $17.5 million, fully guaranteed. That's not like, I've seen some people reacting to it as if it was like, wow, that's unique. That's not unique at all in today's structure with the rookie contracts, the first round picks, things like that. There may have been a case or two where it wasn't fully guaranteed. I don't know, but I've come to expect if it's a first round pick, it's going to be fully guaranteed. The signing bonus, however, is $9.4 million. So he gets that check today. All right. So my man got $9.4 million. The base salaries, $840K. Then it jumps to $1 million in 26, then $1.1 million in 27, $2 million flat in 28, with the roster bonus day 5 of training camp being $633,879 in 2026. In 27, that roster bonus jumps to $1.3 million, and then in 28, it jumps to $1.1 million. But more importantly, Jacob, let's look at the contract details here. If I can zoom in, I'll try to read it off to you guys and gals. So like we said, a 4-year, $17.5 million deal, including the $9.4 million signing bonus. When you look at how the cap hit is structured, starting in 2025, the cap hit is $3.1 million with the dead cap of $17.5 million. So you're not going to move on, right? You're going to hold on to that guy, I believe. You don't want to eat a dead cap of $14 million there. 2026, the cap hit jumps to $3.9 million with a dead cap of $14.3. In 27, the cap hit jumps to $4.7 million with a dead cap of $10 million. And then in 2028, the cap hit will be $5.5 million with a $5.5 dead cap attached as well. So listen, you could trade them and possibly that, a good portion of that contract, travel with a player if you wanted to get out from under it. There's ways around that, obviously, where you can get a little bit of that freed up, but it is fully guaranteed. Notice also, Jacob, the placeholder there in 2029, that's for the 5th-year option year, obviously. So here's the reality of it, man. Whether he is a hit and he ends up being our number one receiver, like if that happens, boy, what a deal, right? Your number one receiver is going to be, less than $5 million until his 4th year in the league, and that's when you're looking at possibly redoing the contract, re-signing him, or tacking on that 5th-year option. If he ends up being kind of meh, he's serviceable, that doesn't break the bank. That's why these draft picks are so damn valuable in today's NFL. But what do you think about the structure there? Anything you want to add to it? Or any comments? Anything come to mind for you, man?
No, I mean, that is kind of crazy to think that nowadays first-round picks, like who was it? Greg Rice says, I do not remember ever getting a $9 million signing bonus in any of my jobs. I don't either. Chris, the casual end, goes on to say that's a nice deal for Golden, 9.4 in the bank to start. Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, it really is crazy. That's life-changing money. When you're somebody like me that shops at Walmart and TJ Maxx, oof, man, I could get some nice stuff shopping like a boss at Ross. But I'm excited. I'm happy for him. It's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how the other wide receivers work with him. And, obviously there was a little dust up with Jayden Reed, but I think that he did a great job of kind of squashing that and making it known that he's going to be a leader. He's going to help these guys along. It's one unit, one team, obviously one organization that has one goal. And that's to win the Super Bowl. I think that Matthew Golden's going to be giving us, you look at the cap hits and all that. In 2028, is that like the only time where if he's absolutely booty cheeks that you'd be like, all right, we can take that $5 million dead cap hit if you wanted to do something crazy drastic or like?
Yeah, I mean, essentially you've got the dead cap of 5.5. I mean, you'd be eating it. I think you would probably keep him anyway. And I know there's some people that are probably thinking, well, what if a player becomes a head case? Are you stuck with that? No, that's when you get into the conduct detrimental to the team type thing, right? And you can – free that up if they do something absolutely crazy or, what have you. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty much a wash there. He's going to be on the roster through 2028, barring anything crazy, right? I hope he's on the roster for another 5 years after that.
Right.
That means we hit on him, obviously. So, but I will say this about Goody, man, it's going to take someone being dominant to give him top wide receiver money. That's the other beautiful thing about this is if he don't pan out, then in 2029, you free up that $5 million and you continue to try to find that next guy. And who knows? It could be Savion Williams. Mm-hmm. It could be, hell, Dontavion Wicks could take a step forward and be that dude, right? It's funny you bring up the rest of the group here. Adam Schefter had a really cool tweet here. Now let's take a look at Green Bay's highest paid pass catchers by AAV. As Adam Schefter tweeted out, Packers rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden is now set to enter this season as Green Bay's highest paid pass catcher by average annual value. Okay, and keep in mind that's just you take the totality of the contract, you divide it by the number of years, and that's going to give you your average annual value. In some cases, contracts are structured, and that's why we try to break it down by the guaranteed money and show you where the out is and where you can free up cap space if you decide to move on. Kind of like Aaron Banks, it's more or less a 2-year deal, even though it's listed as a 3 or a 4-year deal, whatever it was they ended up signing. Same thing with Nate Hobbs. It's essentially a 2-year deal with the option of a third and a fourth. That's how that shakes out. But in this case, with Matthew Golden being 4.39 average annual value, second is Christian Watson at 2.3. So $2 million cheaper is Christian Watson. Luke Musgrave, $2.1 million. Jayden Reed, remember the breakdown we did last night, gang, of how for whatever reason there's a portion of the fan base that thinks Jayden Reed's a horrible football player all of a sudden. When you break down the numbers like we did last night and look at how he improved on about 90% of the statistics across the board, even some of the advanced metrics, most of the advanced metrics, and he's only making $1.8 million average annual value. I mean, you're talking about a deal. Mecole Hardman, $1.5 million. Tucker Kraft at $1.3 million. I'll give you guys a spoiler alert. The next segment is going to be on Tucker Kraft. I think you guys are going to go, holy crap, I didn't realize he was that good last year by the time we're done with that article. Romeo Dobbs, $1 million flat, and Dontavion Wicks, $1 million flat. So here's what I want to say, Jacob. I'm going to turn it over to you and ask your opinion on these pass catchers in Green Bay. When you look at this, when you look at the money, the $2 million difference between him and Christian Watson, you've really got to take into consideration how high they are on Matthew Golden to use a first-round pick on him. I mean, Jayden Reed's been a hit, right? You could see they see Matthew Golden as a much better prospect than they seen Jayden Reed. I mean, it's not just about the money; it's about where they're drafted. You know what I'm saying? And in some cases, it may have been that they had a first round grade on Christian Watson. They may have had a first round grade on Jayden Reed. They're not going to, disclose that information, obviously, with their draft board and how they evaluate. But I'm really, really excited to see what Matthew Golden does because, again, there's only been 3 wide receivers taken in the first round in the Super Bowl era of in Packers history. Forget that. In Packers history, since 1921, there's only been 3, or since the draft came along in whatever it was, the 30s or 40s. There's only been 3 wide receivers drafted in the first round. They were James Lofton, Hall of Famer, Sterling Sharp, Hall of Famer, and Javon Walker, who I think we would all agree didn't pan out. So you're 2 for 3 right now. History says that Matthew Golden probably going to be a damn good football player. So anyway, what do you think about the pass catchers and their average annual value?
Yeah, it's an interesting group, man. And I would be very curious, maybe somebody in the chat, if you could figure out a way to pull it up. I would argue we have to be in the bottom 5, maybe top 3 of lowest paid wide receiver rooms in the league.
We're third from the cheapest last I've seen.
Third? Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking. And what surprised me is that, you look at what Musgrave's making and compare it to Tucker Kraft and to Romeo Dobbs and Dontavion Wicks. The only thing is I am a little nervous because you look at all of those guys minus Matthew Golden, they look up and they go, this mother came in here and all of a sudden he's making 4 times what I'm making this year. Like, he ain't done nothing yet. But hopefully the guys put the ego aside and they realize that they need all these guys to play their butts off to get towards that similar goal, like I said earlier. And it's a little interesting to see that drastic shift from a first round pick to the second, to the third, to the fourth, and how that stacks up as far as money. And, I hope these guys all understand that if they play the type of ball that they need to, that money's going to come. It's going to get there sooner or later, and you're going to have nice big old fat check so you can go and buy yourself a lot of what do guys buy nowadays? I'm so old, I don't even know. They get
Underwear.
Underwear is good.
Body potties, Jake. That's what they buy.
Sure. Yeah.
I just noticed the boxer briefs keeps getting brought up here in the chat. Respect Orange just says Pokemon cards. There you go. All right, got
Easy, Blake.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. So when you bring up that point, Jacob, like how is the room going to react? I personally believe that these players are so heavily vetted for the Green Bay Packers that you won't have an issue. And I know you're not saying there's going to be an issue, but I don't think there'll be an issue at all. But also, the reality is these players are rooting for each other to make more money. Like, for example, Jayden Reed he sees that $4.3 million and probably goes, hell yes. When he gets here, if I outwork him and I outperform him, guess what? I'm going to the last year of my contract. I'm going to go, hey, bub, I beat you Golden Goose out this year and outperformed him. Time to get me a contract. It's contract year. So they look at it as almost like an escalator for them, you know, and not that Jayden would. I feel like Jayden has been painted in a very negative light here lately.
Yeah.
And it's really, really not fair because that dude did nothing wrong. His agent shared information with an insider who then went and threw up all over the internet with it. And then immediately you seen him backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me Drew Rosenhaus went to him and said, hey, dude, you made me look like an ass spilling those beans, right? That's exactly what that came down to. So with that being said, I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. And I think when you look at that, Christian Watson's the leader of that group. And I know some people believe that that's not – well, my brother's dog is not happy right now. When you look at Christian Watson being a leader, that's not saying, hey, look, he is just absolutely dominated statistically. But the way he handled the Romeo Doubs situation last year where he spoke up and basically said, yeah, Romes was in the wrong. That's my boy. I got his back. We're going to help each other and kind of brung everyone together. Jayden Reed with the locker side conversations that they had in Pittsburgh, he seemed to kind of be leading that charge. I think this room is going to be just fine. And then, oh, by the way, you got the old country boy Tucker Kraft in the background, probably kick everybody's ass in that room. Like, hey, let's simmer down here and win some ball games before we start talking too much money. So I think they're going to be just fine. But anything else on that topic before we move on to that previously mentioned Tucker Kraft?
No, I think we did a good job covering that.
All right.